Hey y'all, hey, so thank you for joining me. I am today going to talk about how weight loss surgery failed me. I failed it. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just going to keep on coming in. I told you guys that I was going to be consistent. So today is December 2nd. I have videos I need to upload. I'm gonna probably do that today. Just keeping on showing up. So that's why I'm here. Today I'm gonna talk about, like I said, how weight loss failed me, surgery. Weight loss surgery failed me, or I failed it. I'm not 100% sure. Um, but I was going through like I'll talk about it all the time. I was over 417 pounds. 417 was the highest that the doctor's scale would go to at that time. So I could have been 500 pounds. I really don't know how much I weighed. It was 417 plus pounds. Um, or maybe 417. I don't know. Like I said, the scale that was at that point in time, that was the highest the scale was able to go that they had in the doctor's office. Um, so what happened was I was going through some stuff, right? So I was in a space of being depressed. I was in a dark space. I had just had two babies back to back. And I was in a marriage that I didn't feel loved. I was like in a loveless marriage. So what happened was my cousin had went, she was going to therapy, and she was seeming, I was like, oh, she seemed a lot better because she was going through depression. And at that point in time, I didn't know I was depressed. I just knew that she was saying, oh, she, was going through depression and she had some stuff going on. And we were talking, and she went to this lady, and I saw that she was doing better. So I was like, hey, who is this lady? I want to meet her too. So I ended up getting a lady's number, and I was going to her. I was going to therapy. And at that point in time, I didn't realize that I was in a place of pain. And the way that I could describe it now is like if you step on a piece of glass and you know that the pain is there and you can't get the glass out, so it's there, or a splinter, like, and it's there and it stays there for a little while, and you might have like, pus might grow around it, and the skin around it starts getting calloused and stuff. And then after a while, it don't hurt no more. So it's still there and it don't hurt anymore, but the initial pain really, really stings. But then as time goes on and it starts to heal around the pain, it will still, you'll be able to deal with it a lot more. So that's really what it was with my weight. I had came here almost 9 pounds. My mom laughs about it, like, well, you so big they had to cut me out. And that's really what it was. Like I was too big to pass through the birth canal. And I've always loved food. I've had this crazy relationship with food. It's like food was my friend. Food, I like to taste good food. Most of the friends that I have, if you are, it's a joke. I say this now, like, oh, a prerequisite to be my friend is you have to be a foodie, because majority of my friends are foodies. We always talk about food. Majority of the conversations, majority of the things that I did was revolved around food at that point in time. So what happened was like I said, I went to the lady. We were going through therapy and we were going through some exercises, and then I realized I didn't like being fat. I just accepted it. And I used to say things like, oh, if I was smaller, like I had this picture of the Beyonce when she had, what was it, the Dangerously in Love album cover. It was on my station at work for years. It stayed there. Like if I was small, I would wear stuff like that to work. I would have on 6-inch stilettos with a lime green bikini top and some jeans or something like that. Like that's how that's how my mindset was. Like God knew not to make me small. Because I probably would have been walking around like that. I would, if I was smaller, I would have been at the DD parties. I ain't even going front because I was invited. Like that's just me and my personality. Like, all right, I'm just, but because I was so big and people always made fun of me, it was just like, all right, I'm just going to, like, settle down some and dim down some and stuff like that. So what happened when I started going to therapy, I and along the way, not just when I went to therapy, I would try stuff like I went to Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers and Jack LaLanne and nutritionists at the Jack LaLanne's, and I would do walking groups and the cabbage soup diet and the lemonade diet and anything that came along, all of the fads. I was taking Fin, and I was driving to work one day, and a little Martian man was running along the side of the car with me, and there was this, like, I can't remember the name of it. It was like this Chinese pill that people was losing weight. The Chinese people was losing weight, and it was like this herb in it, but it was making my stomach hurt. And it was like, all right, I was taking the 3 ballerina tea and um saffron tea and all kinds of stuff that would like help you go to the bathroom, and but it would hurt my stomach. My stomach would be griping. Pills would make me like jittery or bugging, like completely bugging. And so I was like, all right, so is weight loss not really for me? Because it was just like so difficult for me to put my weight loss, like, anything to work. Nothing worked. So when I was talking to the lady and, going to therapy and stuff, I'm like, none of this shit works. And I told her maybe I was destined to be fat. And so she was the one that told me, like, all right, maybe look into surgery, like, see about your insurance paying for the surgery and stuff. And at that point in time, the insurance was not paying for the surgery. It was not. So what happened was I was working at this place and the girl had surgery. She had the surgery and I'm like, wow, how did, and she was like, oh, our insurance paid for it. So I'm like, wait a minute, let me get this doctor's number. So I end up calling the doctor, making an appointment, and he's like, yeah, we'll take your insurance, because we were at the job together. So I made an appointment, and they were telling me all of the things that you needed to do. We had scheduled a date for me to have the Roux-en-Y gastric bypass surgery. I was a perfect candidate for it. So with that, I'm like, all right, perfect. So I'm telling the therapist, and we're going through the things, and the surgery was like, I think maybe 5 or 6 months later. I had to do a whole bunch of doctor's appointments. Me being me, I scheduled all of the appointments in the same day. I think I had one at 9, one at 10, one at 11, one at 12. Like I scheduled them all in the same day. They were all in the same area, and I made a day out of it just to get to the doctors. And then I had to see the psychiatrist, and then I'm telling my therapist about it. It was like a lot, so I had to do a whole bunch of different doctor's visits prior to getting the surgery, and going through. So I was going through all of the process and doing everything that I needed to do, and I'm like, all right, I really want to be on this journey. And it was like something, I was going to the support groups and still going to the therapy, and changing my diet, because in the beginning, before you had the surgery, you had to they give you this fatty liver diet or whatever. So you had to go on this, and they give you the stages and everything that you had to go through prior to. So I went through, I had the surgery, and I lost weight, and I feel like I did well. I have pictures that I'm gonna insert in here so you guys will be able to see the pictures and things that I have. um I did really well with losing the weight. But what happened was, after, because I had really bad, that was another thing. I had ended up in the hospital during that time, that the months before me having it, I ended up in the hospital because I had really bad gastritis with acid reflux and GERD. I had a piece of chicken, and this was on Good Friday. I was eating a piece of chicken from the chicken shack and in my hometown, and I got so sick. I ended up going to the emergency room. I spent 2 days in the hospital because they didn't know what was going on. I was throwing up. I was throwing up some yellow stuff. It was awful. So then they realized, and they diagnosed me with GERD and acid reflux, and it was crazy. Like, my stomach has always been like a weird type of energy. I'm gonna say that. But it was something that, not just me, my family, like my dad went through it, my brothers went through it, some of my cousins go through it. So I thought that it was a hereditary thing, not necessarily thinking that it was our diet and we're all eating the same types of food and things. So what happened was, during that time, after I had the surgery, the acid reflux and stuff had went away. So I'm thinking, yay. And then a little while later, I think maybe about a year later, and I lost weight. I lost weight. I think I lost, like, I think it was like 80 pounds when I had the surgery. And after I ended up going back into the hospital. My stomach was really, really, really messed up. So with my stomach being really messed up, I I went to the hospital. I had a gastroenterologist. The gastroenterologist told me to go to the hospital. I went to the hospital, and they did a endoscopy. When they did the endoscopy, they realized that, because when I had my Roux-en-Y, that was the time that they were doing the staples, and then they stopped doing staples. They did the stitching because it was a more it was less invasive. People were getting with the stitches, staples malfunctioning and things of that nature. But what happened was the acid reflux was eroding away at the stitches. So when they did the endoscopy, a couple of the stitches in the area came out, and it was like a little leakiness. So they had to go in and do a little bit of a revision. They couldn't do a whole revision because they end up cutting my small intestines and the long intestines, but my stomach pouch had to be, revised. So with that, I gained more weight back, y'all. I was three something. I think it was like 380 when I first went for the gastric bypass. After the gastric bypass, I was 417. So I gained more weight back. Like, I gained everything that I had gained back, because I did get down to like two. I think the lowest I was after the gastric bypass was like 260. So I got down to 260, and I was happy about that because I had lost. It was like a little bit, maybe I guess all in all, I had lost a little bit over 100 pounds. I got down to 260, and I was just like, yeah, because 250 was my goal weight. So I was like, 10 pounds, I ain't really stressing it. But then when I went into the hospital, and I stayed at the 260 for a while, but when I went back into the hospital, they did the revision, and almost instantly, maybe within the next year, I was back up and depressed again, and feeling like, okay, I can't even, play with my kids, and I can't. That was the whole point of me wanting to do the surgery, was because I wanted to be able to, play with my kids. I had two young kids at the time, and I had a boy, and I wanted to be able to be one of those moms that's going to be out with my boy. I was really active in my oldest child's life at all of her games and plays and everything. And I was like, I'm getting too big. I can't do this with these other two. I had two babies at the same time. And I don't know about y'all, but carrying 300 and something pounds with two babies and car seats and baby bags and stuff like that. And I probably was an excessive packer, but it was a lot. I was probably carrying around like 550 pounds with the two babies and the car seats and the baby bags and stuff like that. And to get from the car to the house would be a lot of fucking work. It hurt. It was really painful, like physically painful. And then I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So with that, I went to I went to the doctor, like, hey, can y'all do something else? And it was like, basically they couldn't do anything else. They couldn't do anything else for me. So it was like, all right, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna be this 417 pounds plus forever, or what can I do? And I sat with that for a long time, a very long time, just sitting with it, not knowing what was going, what I was going to do. I did try, like I said, I did try a whole bunch of different things again. I went back to Jenny Craig. I went back to Weight Watchers. There was this it was, I forgot what the name it was. Something, was like something that you go like 2 times a week, and you get on the scale, and they'll give you a shot. It was like a clinic, and they'll give you a shot with the B12, and you have to take these pills. It was like a water pill, and it was like a clinic, and I was paying them $75 every time I went, so 2 times a week, to get the B12 shots. I was taking the Chinese herbs. I was taking this tea that you would get at the this lady would come into the shop, and she had this tea that just like, it's like these little shots. It's almost like ginseng shots or whatever, and it was supposed to curb your appetite. It was these cookies that they had that I tried. I was doing protein shakes. I did the cabbage soup diet. I did the lemonade diet. I did the saltwater cleanse. I did, oh my God. Anything that people was telling me that, oh, this worked for me, I was like, all right, I'm gonna try it and see if it works for me. Like, over and over and over again, I'm trying to figure out what I could do to make, me lose weight. And what ended up happening was, we were at the buffet one day, me and my kids and my cousin, and I ate a piece of chicken, and I got so sick. The very first thing I ate, I got so sick, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to go back into the hospital. The acid reflux is bad. I end up going to the car, leaving them at the table, going to the car, and laying out in the back of the car. And I can remember laying there crying in so much pain, balled up in the back seat of my car, while they're inside the buffet eating. And I'm laying there like, God, please get me out of this. If you could get me out of this pain, I promise you, like, just praying, like, God, just take this pain away, please. And that day, it was on a Saturday, I ended up going back to the hospital, and the doctor ended up coming to see me, and they did all these tests, and he was like, it might be the poultry. And he said, take the poultry, chicken, and turkey out of my diet. When I say the way I cried, because chicken was like a big staple. My kids will always make fun of me, like, oh my God, Mom, you know how to make chicken 180 ways. Like, and I would get cases of chicken. Like, that was my staple meal: baked chicken, fried chicken, barbecue chicken. I would do orange chicken, anything. I would just, like, chop it up. Chicken and rice, whatever. It was like a big staple into my world. So when they said I couldn't eat chicken anymore, I cried, like literally cried. I wasn't eating beef anymore at that point in time, because anytime I ate beef, it would just sit right here in my chest, and it would stay for hours. I wouldn't be able to like function. It would be like, oh my God, it was so heavy, it would just hurt. And I had stopped eating pork already, like 20 something years before that. I had stopped eating pork when I was pregnant with my first child. So at that point in time, I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? God, please fix it. And I can remember, like, as I reflect back on it, whatever, that week before, the pastor at the church we had did this, like, we were going to, what do you call it, intercessory prayer on Monday nights. And that Monday before I got in the car, she said, "You're going to look so different, people not even going to recognize you." And she would say, "You're going to lose so much weight because you don't like being fat." And I could feel it. And I'm looking at her like, "How you know that?" But whatever, I didn't see me looking different in people. I didn't see that. But she prophesized over that Monday, and then that Saturday we went out to eat, and I was sick, and I was like, "I don't know what you're trying to do, God, but it this hurts. This hurts so bad." And when I went to the hospital and they told me that, the diagnosis and whatever, and it was like they feel like it was a way that my body was breaking down the poultry. It was having a hard time to cut it out my diet. And like I said, I cried like a baby. I cried. So what happened after that was I went to the nutritionist that they had at my doctor's office. And when I went to the nutritionist, we found like a bunch of, diets, meals, or whatever that I could try, that contain no meat, like just seafood. And from that point, I just stopped eating meat and I just was only eating seafood. And I did increase my vegetable intake, and I did increase my water intake. And so from that point, I was just like not eating any meat. I was not eating any and I stopped drinking soda. I stopped drinking soda because drinking the soda, they told me that the acid with that was building up the acid reflux, and I had gotten really, really, really sick. So with that, I changed my diet. They told me to cut out high acid stuff, so like spaghetti sauce and things of that nature. I like cut that out as well, and I started eating in the beginning it was like what they called a clear liquid diet. It was like ice pops and jello and things of that nature. And then I kind of like, weeded into it. So the nutritionist and the doctor like, we worked really well with it. But what I noticed is that there wasn't a lot of things that I actually enjoyed. I was like, okay, there's things that I need to actually enjoy because I hated eating. It was like I can't go out to eat because all I could eat is a salad, and they would put bacon bites, and I don't eat bacon, and it would be like all I would be able to eat would be the lettuce, tomatoes, and onions and dressing on it. And I'm like, I don't want this, because I couldn't get chicken, and cheese was, it was just like, all right, it was just a little bit too much for me. But it was a blessing for me, because then it made me realize that I had to learn another way on how to eat in order for me to be able to. I learned to then at that point eat to live instead of living to eat. And that's where it was like, okay. And then I started looking at, I did a whole bunch of research on recipes and things that I could actually like to eat when I'm, out, and things that I could make for not just me, but for my family. um and it was a big problem with me, not eating eating chicken for a while. It was a very long while that was like, all right, I can't eat this because it's going to make me sick. I can't do this because it's going to make me sick. And I didn't want to go back into that pain that I was having. And what I realized is once I started stop eating drinking soda, I cut back on the juice. I was drinking mostly water and tea, and I was eating more fruits and vegetables because I was hungry. Wasn't eating chicken, and I had cut down on the bread because when I was eating the bread or rice, like the white rice, it would just sit in here. So all of that had to do with my GERD and the acid reflux, but I didn't know it at the point in time. And then I realized, oh wait, I'm losing weight and it's actually working. So when I went to the doctor and I had got on the scale the first time, I had lost like 20 something pounds just by changing the way that I was eating. And the nutritionist was like, maybe this is, what you needed. And it didn't come off quickly. It came off over a period of time. It was like years. It wasn't that it came off quickly, but I think because of, the then, now, before, and after, you don't realize that there was a space of time in between there. And then I started doing like, this was all well before COVID. So once COVID came, I had already been doing the research and different things. I was able to get certified in nutrition and certified in herbalism and different things. So I'm like, wow. And then I was able to get certified in coaching because it's like, all right, I made a transition. I had gotten down to 117 pounds. Now, after COVID, because I was 117 and I was there and I was comfortable for, well, let me not say 117 was a comfortable weight. I feel like the comfortable weight for me was like between 1 140 and 150. 117 was too small for me. And y'all motherfuckers did not make no kind of qualms on letting me know, like, you look sick. Oh my God, you look crazy. Okay. Y'all didn't have no problems with telling me that. Y'all didn't have no problems with saying I looked crazy when I was morbidly obese. So y'all don't have no problems with saying anything. Well, not the YouTube people, it's the people on Facebook. That's really where it was at. I'm just gonna be 100% transparent. So what happened was I ended up going to the doctor, and this was because I had to have surgery to remove all of the skin. I had so much excess skin hanging. It was like getting rashes and things of that nature. Once I went from 417, I lost 300 pounds. So that's two people, really. And I was like, wow, I became feeling better about myself. And this was after the weight loss surgery had felt me. I did it by eating properly and moving more. And I was drinking the Iazo tea for a minute, and then I stopped, but I still was, going forward. But then what happened was I ended up gaining weight back. They gave me prednisone because what happened, I was at the DMX, I was prospecting to be a rough rider, and DMX passed away. And when DMX passed away, they did this ride in Maryland. So I was like, okay, this is going to be, my out of state. We went down there, and it was during Ramadan, and I'm fasting. And we got all the way through the whole ride. We did everything. We was stopped at the place to get us some food to go home. I'm like, all right, I'm ordering my food, and the next thing I know, I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, I see black velvet cake. I mean, black forest cake, and I was asking one of the ladies that was with me, because she was a baker and she's a really good baker. I thought I asked her, like, well, what's black forest cake? She said I never asked her. The next thing I know, it's a fire truck and he's there, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? I passed out. So with me passing out in Maryland, I ended up going back to the doctor, and the doctor at the ER was basically telling me that basically the doctor at the ER was saying that that they thought that there was an issue with my heart. So they that was the first time, and they noted that in my chart. So I went to my regular doctor, and they realized that my I think it was my protein and my iron levels was low, and I ended up going to the hematologist, and the hematologist, they had us on track. And I have gastroenterologist, my primary care physician, I had my plastic surgeon, my the doctor that did my weight loss surgery. Like, they're all on board because I have my medical team that's going to, I wanted to make sure that everybody was on board, so they're all in the same circle of doctors. So they're, noting my chart and everything in my chart. And that's something that I've always been an advocate for. Like, could you make sure that they know that, so that the next doctor could be able to look in there? I had to end up going to the cardiologist because they said that there was something wrong with my heart. The cardiologist ran a whole bunch of series of tests, and everything was fine. I was really, really fine. And then I ended up a year after that, I think it's like a little bit more, maybe 2 years. 2 years after that, I ended up going back to the ER because I was feeling dizzy. And for me, I'm always an advocate for my health and anybody else's health that's like close to me. So what happened was I ended up going to the hospital again. I was feeling dizzy. I just wanted to go make sure that everything was okay. I got checked, and they were telling me that they thought that it was something wrong with my heart. My heart rate was very, very low. And I'm like, why is my heart rate low? So they gave me a steroid. I think it was prednisone. They gave me the prednisone, and at 117, almost 3 months later, I was at 230 pounds. Like, it was so quick. I gained that weight so quick, and it was like, what in the world? I ain't even that hungry. Where is this weight coming from? I'm just like, oh my God. So when I got on the scale, it was 230 pounds, and that was in May. That was in May. And when I say the way that I cried because I'm like, I see myself going back up, and there was nothing that I could do. So I started at that point taking the Iazo tea again. And I said that was in May, the June 30th. I said from June to September, because September I had a really big event that I was doing. I said I'm going to lose this weight. I'm going to lose this weight, and I'm going to do it. I was back in TLC, And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. But me personally, I'm a private person, so I'm like, I don't want to get on the scale for people. I don't want to tell people what I weigh. I'm not doing that. But my coach was like, you know what, go ahead, you can do it and show the people that you're doing it. So I got on the scale at 230, 230 pounds, and then I started losing the weight. So at this point, I'm 100 and I think it's 185 pounds, 184, 185. I gotta get on the scale today and see. Today starts the 15-day challenge. And I'm like, you know what? I did this after weight loss surgery failed me because I was 417 pounds after I had the weight loss surgery. And then I got up to 230 pounds after I had the weight loss surgery. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this now. I got 180. I'm at 185 pounds now. 185-ish, we'll say. And I want to get to 150 pounds. So now my goal is to lose these 140, 150. I got to see where it's going to be the most comfortable for me. But at least the next 35 pounds I want to lose, and I'm going to do it just drinking an ISO tea. And I'm going to show you guys that I can do this just by drinking an ISO tea. And I'm transforming not just my life, but I want to be able to take 20 people and transform their lives as well, because I want to show you that it's doable. I want to show you that it works. It's not about the weight loss surgery, because weight loss surgery, like I said, it failed me. It's about having a willpower and using a product that is going to actually help you eliminate. I know I was on a call last night and the lady said she had gained 6 pounds over the holiday, but she know that it's going to come off by Friday because she's going to be walking and she's going to be drinking her tea and working out and things of that nature. And so that's what I'm going to be doing on my journey as well. And even though weight loss surgery failed me, I have a product and a tool that's going to be able to take me from the 230 that I was now that I'm down to the 185, and take me from the 185 to the 150 that I want to be, to feel like I'm at the optimum level of being myself. So I thank you guys for this journey. I thank you guys for tuning in. I thank you guys for watching me. I'm going to be coming on here every day, talking to you guys and letting you know that if you want to be able to put yourself in a different position, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, sexually, and emotionally, you can do that. And that's what we're going to be talking about here on this channel with Kicking It with Kanisha, and we're going to be doing that on Faded Wellness. We have so much in store for you for the month of December. We're starting our January 1 now at December 1. We're moving forward because we know that you have a winner inside of you. You have a millionaire inside of you. You have the best version of yourself inside of you. You just have to be able to change your mindset and say, I have what it takes to be the person that I need to be, because I was created to be the best version of myself every day that I get another 24 hours to wake up. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you really, really, really feel like you have something in you that you want to be able to develop and take to the next level, DM me and let's take it. If you want to be able to go on a weight loss journey and be able to get to the optimum healthiest version of yourself. Health is wealth. So many people say that they want to be healthy or they want to be wealthy, but they don't want to be healthy. And I just don't understand that, because the two going side by side. Most of the wealthy people, if you're wealthy, you want to be able to be healthy so that you can have longevity and be able to do the things that you need to do to be able to put yourself into the better position. You can't do too much if you're in a vegetative state. You can't do much if you're sick and in the hospital. I saw one of my business partners yesterday. She's going through chemotherapy, but her mindset is not sick. Her body is sick, but her mindset is not sick. So even though she's going through chemotherapy right now and cancer, she said cancer is not going to win, and she's still out there trying to do the best that she can to be able to get her business to the next level. So it's all in the mindset. So we're developing the mindsets around here as well. So that's all I have for you guys today. You guys going on and have a great day. Namaste.